Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be talking about my contest preparation for this year. So this is how I'm going to approach it. So for the past month or so, I'd say I've decreased my food intake dramatically. My fat intake is roughly half of what it was before. So I started off at about 300 protein, 300 fat, and below 50 grams of carbs. So the carb sources were dairy, eggs, the odd bit from different seasoning and different, processed meats that I sometimes buy. That's about it. Now what I've actually done is I've kept my protein roughly the same. So for what I tend to do for the most part is to give myself a reference range or a guideline. So that means I'm not trying to hit exactly 300 protein, 300 fat every day in the off season. Might give myself a reference range that might be 270 to 300, maybe 280 to 300 of each. Then I just go to appetite. I find those numbers go up and down all the time. And I think sometimes force feeding can be a bit bad for the body. You can't force your body to have more muscle on it than it intends to have at a time. So I tend to actually leverage protein a little bit and decrease fat sometimes. Sometimes I do the other thing as well. So I actually move them around. The fat will be a bit higher, the protein might be a bit lower. Just depends what I'm feeling at that period of time. Now the next thing I actually do is what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks roughly, is I've effectively, I'd say for the most part, halved my fat intake. Now, for anyone that knows me, they know I don't like dieting for months on end. My last competition, I was dieting for 18 months straight. I had about maybe a month gap between that where I wasn't on a strict diet at all. And that was horrendous. I felt like death. But this time, I know my contest is pretty much locked in, assuming I am able to do it. In which case I know, okay, let's put the gas to the pedal now. So what I've actually done is I said, right, how much fat can I lose without impacting my training performance in the gym? So obviously right now I'm looking at my strong lifts in the gym. So for most people that's a pushing, a pulling, and a leg pressing or squatting sort of movement. Now what I found is I've actually managed to maintain my strength over the past 2 to 3 weeks despite a big food drop. So half the amount of fat what I'm used to taking in. But now I'm kind of thinking at it from the point of, okay, what does my body look like? It's all good getting the fat loss, what it says on the scale, what does my body look like day to day, week to week? And I'm actually pinching my skin, so pinching my love handles, my obliques, my midsection. What is going on there, and it seems to be trending downwards. So I'm testing this sort of perhaps every few days. I'm sort of looking myself in the mirror thinking a bit more definition here, more lines here, this is more cinched in, that sort of thing. With that being said, everyone knows if you push the diet too hard, your training performance will suffer, your strength will go down, and the muscle that you spent all this time accruing over the off-season or bulking up phase that people call, is pretty much of no use, in my opinion. So right now I'm in that point where I'm like trying to really keep that muscle on, keep training intensity high, taking rests when I need it, not trying to force myself to lose so much fat at once. It's a big balance. So I've got this like meter in my head. I might call it just a meter. So I know, okay, this much food volume, this much food mass intake will affect my training performance this much based on these figures in the gym. I know that's my hard limit. So I can't really go below whatever amount of fat that might be. Now, with that being said, the faster I lose fat, the better I tend to feel. I'm kind of in that twilight zone right now where I'm not losing any muscle, but I'm losing pretty much strictly body fat. So I'm in a really good position right now. And I'm currently something like 16 weeks out from my next competition. Probably what that looks like in terms of scale weight is going to be about 10 kilos. So I'm probably looking to lose about 10 kilos in that time. Now, one interesting thing I've actually noticed in that past 2 weeks or so that I've been on quite a steep fat loss phase is that I've tend to fancy more meat. So my appetite for meat has gone right up. Tends to happen whenever someone diets down, you lose a lot of that inflammatory water weight just because I'm eating a lot of food usually. And it seems to be that I'm just really craving that higher protein diet, So I'm not really hitting that 280 protein. Generally speaking, I'm trying to hit it a bit higher than that. I'm finding some days it takes me up to about 300 grams of protein to be satiated. Now, am I worried about gluconeogenesis? No, the body takes care of itself. It seems to be that I can get into contest shape on almost limitless amounts of protein, almost. My last contest prep, in terms of like the lowest I got in my food intake was, I believe, 550 grams of protein. So that's 550 grams, not 550 grams of meat. And then of course about 50 to 75 grams of carbs through dairy. I was eating lots of Greek yogurt, stuff like that, and raw milk. Then what else I'm trying to think of? Yeah, and fat intake got as low as about 150 grams, and that was as low as it got from my whole contest preparation. At that time, I was using a lot of painkillers just to get me through the long days. I was doing 3.5 hours of cardio. Not cardio, I'd say 3.5 hours of activity every single day. So that's what allowed me to eat so much food. Now, I came from a background of binge eating, trying to get that voluminous, full feeling every meal. I don't really crave that anymore because I realise it just impacts digestion. I don't train better for it. And I certainly don't feel or sleep any better for it. So that's quite interesting. So my approach is going to be this year, just getting the protein right and the fat right without absolutely destroying my health, doing lots of exercise and activity outdoors every day. So what I do intend to do is give myself a fine limit of how much activity I'm going to do. And I'm probably going to say, for the most part, gym sessions within 45 minutes. That'd be no more than 4 times per week maximum. Then if I add in some walks with the dog or something, maybe 20 minutes a day, maybe up to half an hour at the very end. But I'm only going to add that in when I need to add it in. And I'm saying I need to add it in because I get to the point where I've understood, okay, my food intake is so low, I don't want to dip down any lower in food intake. At which point, a few weeks out from the contest, maybe a couple of months, maybe, that's about as much as I would say would be appropriate for my cardio intervention. Now again, my cardio is slow walking. I can't run on treadmills. I can't sprint fast. I can't go ham on, I don't know, elliptical trainer, cross trainer. So I'm just going to take it easy. And I find you get more longevity that way. I don't want to be pounding away at my joints, getting, what's the word? I don't want to be getting so hungry from all that extra activity I'm doing. I just want the right amount of activity to get some sunlight exposure, feel good, get some fresh air, be out in nature, whilst also reaching my fat loss goals. Now, as of right now, I've tested my body fat using digital body fat calipers and bioimpedance electrical scales. I find there's a massive difference between them, but at least I've got a trend so I can work out my starting point and what each fat loss phase yields. So I know I've decreased my food intake by this much, that's yielded this, then I've plateaued, then I need to do this to then up the ante. So I'm looking at these kind of numbers. And as of right now, digital body fat calipers are putting me at, I believe, about 8% body fat. Am I 8% body fat? Probably not. Generally speaking, they always test me lower than what I think I am. Now, the bioimpedance electrical scales do test me significantly higher than what I think I am. They tend to test me at about 18% right now. And even in contest shape, they test me at 11%, and that's with cross striations of my hamstrings, my legs covered in veins across my midsection. So the accuracy of these things is not great, but it does provide a reliable trend which you can go by. And then, therefore, change your training, change your diet, any extra stuff that you're doing to help yourself recover can be intervened with that way. Now, hopefully that's been useful to you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video. And also tell me, what are you doing right now in terms of your body composition? Are you trying to bulk up, lose fat, recomp, stay the same? I'd love to be in that boat myself. But we all have goals and objectives, so I'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much.
Build muscle and lose fat on the Carnivore Diet.